When I'm looking at business models, I'm looking at, for me at least, do I want a big staff? Do I want a brick and mortar location? Do I want recurring revenue? And is recession resilient? If you answer yes to most of those questions, then this could be a good business model for you. And also, a lot of people out there might not have 100 grand or 50 grand to invest, but if you had 10 or 15 grand and you leverage SBA financing, if you really want to drive this business, you have to be like a go-getter, meaning you're going to get some leads that come in from your territory, because you do get assigned the territory, so leads that come in. But you need to be the mayor of the town for this business. You have to go out and not be afraid to network with CPAs and referral partners. It's won a lot of awards. I think they've got about 63 locations right now. And I think this is a good fit. Not for all, not for somebody who's extremely introverted, it'd be a little bit challenging. With low overhead and the ability to scale, I think this really should be one that you considered. And going back, if you're okay doing a little bit of consultative sales, because that's what it really is. It's not a hard sell.
Hey, Beau, why don't you talk to us today about this franchise you really like in the payroll industry?
All right, let's go.
All right, let's go ahead and dive in. What makes this business model so attractive for someone coming from a corporate or professional background?
So this is a B2B business, no brick and mortar location, recurring revenue. It's got the ingredients of everything that I look for in a business. I like the fact that it's a sellable business model. It's almost like having a book of it, like if you're an insurance agent, having a book of business. So there's an exit if you decide to sell in the future, and you can usually sell these types of businesses for 1 times gross revenue. So I like a lot of factors about this, and I also like the fact that it's low employee count and low overhead and low startup costs.
All right, I don't know if you mentioned this, but did you say it could be run without a storefront?
Yes, without a storefront, exactly. Yep.
Okay, so how does that work, and what kind of flexibility does that offer its owners?
So to get started, you need yourself and a part-time payroll processor, which is really like having somebody that has skills like a bank teller, for example. So it's going to be some data entry, setting up new clients into the system. And then after that, the software takes over. The difference between this business model versus some of the biggest, I won't mention the names, payroll processor out there, they have a terrible customer satisfaction rating, like 60, where this franchise model has a customer satisfaction rating of 90% or better.
How does this recurring revenue model give franchisees a different level of stability and scalability?
Well, when you're looking at a business model that has recurring revenue, so each client that you acquire, customer acquisition, is worth X amount of dollars per year on average, right? And so every year, as long as the retention is high, which in this business model it is, your revenue is going to keep increasing. So you have a level of predictability with this business model as you grow it.
All right. What kind of person or background do you think is ideal for succeeding in this franchise?
I mean, ultimately, you need somebody that's going to do belly-to-belly business development, joining the chamber, BNI groups, networking with CPAs that don't want to handle payroll. The nice thing about this business model is you get assigned a territory, but you can do business national. So for example, if you got in with a national massage franchise system and they had 200 or 300 locations throughout the nation, and you landed that account, you could become the preferred payroll services for all of those locations. So another thing I like about this business model, we talk about the laptop lifestyle. This business you can be running when you're on vacation, because you can be just on the phone and on the computer, and you don't need that storefront, going back to not having a storefront, which keeps your overhead low.
Great. What kind of support and systems are in place for franchisees, especially those without prior payroll or HR experience?
Most of the people getting into this business model don't have experience. You don't need an accounting background. You don't need payroll experience. They're going to train you from A to Z. And actually, you could take anybody pretty much in this business as long as they're a business development builder. And it's not like a real sales job, because you got to remember the second most outsourced service for small business owners is payroll processing. And 90% of all businesses are small businesses where this franchise excels. They work with anybody from 2 employees up to about 100 is the sweet spot. Their average customer has between 8 and 10 employees. So the big boys out there aren't going after this business, and it's ripe for us or anybody who gets into this franchise model because they've got great systems. They have a lot of affinity programs that are on top of this where you can make money for all the other services that people would want on top of the normal payroll processing service.
Can you share a success story or numbers that give us a sense of the potential income, either part-time or full-time?
If you look on the FDD, and I don't have it in front of me, but the top performer does well over 7 figures in top line revenue. So there's a lot of potential. These types of business models have pretty good margins. If it's an owner operator business, the margins are actually really strong. Semi-absentee, anytime you run a business owner operator, you're going to have better margins than a semi-absentee because when you go semi-absentee, that means you have more staff, which cuts into your margins. But it is a very surprisingly nice, attractive model. And when if you decide this is of interest to you, we can definitely get you the brochure, kind of overlook that, and make an introduction to the team, so the franchise development team that we work with. So you can get an overview if this is a good business model for you. The investment range is somewhere between $77,000 to $112,000, give or take, depending on how much working capital you want to build in. So that's covering all your franchise fees. We do have a bank that will lend 90%. So if your startup costs that you figure out were $100,000, for $10,000, you can get into this business model, depending on how much working capital you want to bolt into the SBA loan. So it's a really sweet deal.
That's great. Is there anything in closing you want to say about this business that maybe you didn't touch on before, or just give another summary of what the business does?
Sure. So when I'm looking at business models, I'm looking at, for me at least, do I want a big staff? Do I want a brick and mortar location? Do I want recurring revenue? Do I want a simple business model with low employee count? Do I want a business that is needed and is recession resilient? If you answer yes to most of those questions, then this could be a good business model for you. And also, a lot of people out there might not have $100,000 or $50,000 to invest, but if you had 10 or 15 grand and you leverage SBA financing. So I have this in my book as one of the best business models. The caveat is, if you really want to drive this business, you have to be like a go-getter, meaning you're going to get some leads that come in from your territory because you do get assigned a territory. So leads that come in, but you need to be the mayor of the town for this business. You have to go out and not be afraid to network with CPAs and referral partners. But I think the people that don't mind doing a little bit of business development, you think about getting 1 or 2 solid CPAs that don't handle payroll processing, that deal with small business owners. So they could feed you a lot of referrals, right? And then you think about getting in with multi-store, multi-location business models where you can become the preferred payroll service. And then just word of mouth, people get to know you. When you have good customer service, people are going to want to work with you, right? Because most small business owners don't have the time or patience to deal with payroll processing. So it's won a lot of awards. I think they've got about 63 locations right now. And I think this is a good fit. Not for somebody who's extremely introverted. It'd be a little bit challenging unless you had a spouse that has more business development. But this would be a great business model too for a married couple that they're transitioning out with low overhead and the ability to scale. I think this really should be one that you considered. And going back, if you're okay doing a little bit of consultative sales, because that's what it really is. It's not a hard sell. Are you feeling overwhelmed, like you're not getting enough content out there? You're not driving enough leads, not growing your business the way you want to? Well, I put together an ebook all about utilizing virtual team members and AI together to really grow your business, get more organic content out there. If that all sounds appealing and you want a free copy of my ebook with the tools I use, some prompts, and how I put it all together with virtual team members, you can go to bizscalingplaybook.com, grab a copy. It's an evergreen book. We're going to be adding different tools, different prompts as we continue to bolt them into our business. So anyways, it's free for right now. So go to bizscalingplaybook.com, download your copy. Hope you like it. Hey guys, Beau Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.